Hi, it's Richard from Ignite Growth, and I thought I'd do a quick video on what I do when I create a strategy with a client. Because strategy is always a starting point of any relationship I have with a client. It involves around 3 months of initial work with that client, and I go through a very set process and 12 areas that I develop as part of the strategy, and then we actually turn it into a strategy document, so a growth strategy document like this with 12 sections in it, and implementation and execution comes from that. So it's a document that can be constantly then revisited every year, make sure that the strategy is in line with what we're trying to achieve as a business, and it's really a working document. What I didn't want my strategies to be was something that just sat on someone's desk and were never used. They're very much this is the what and this is how we do it. So they're very much based in what's worked. And obviously the STEPS methodology as well, it's the first step in that. And it's all come from really about 5 or 6 years ago, me focusing on strategy in one of my businesses and realising that it was the main differentiator between how effective we were being on a daily basis and focusing on the right tactics versus not being effective and being a bit shotgun and a bit haphazard with what we did on a daily basis. So strategy is the core of that. I always say to people that strategy should drive your tactics, not your tactics driving your strategy. So if your tactics are being driven by your strategy, then you'll know every day what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you should have in place metrics to measure how effective you're being with it as well. So what are the key 12 elements I work on? Well, the first of those is the objectives, targets and goals. So I want to have the top level growth goals of the business and then break that down into around 10 metrics that are measuring how on track or off track we're being. So that'll always start with the revenue goal. So this is where we want to take the business in the next 3 or 4 years. This is where we need to be after 12 months. After 24 months, after 3 years. So if we're driving, as I say, from a low point and we're trying to get to £1 million, we'll break down exactly what we need to achieve each year. From that revenue goal, we will need to know average order values. That'll tell me how many customers we need to generate. Conversion rates of the sales team are important, or the sales effort at this point, because then it'll tell me how many leads we need to generate to get that many customers and that much revenue. All of that's linked in the first part, which is objectives, targets and goals. I then move on to target market. So we always focus on the who. Who are we actually positioning ourselves in front of? You know, who's a good fit customer for what we do, our product, our service, our solution. And again, it's key that we spend a lot of time identifying the ideal customer profile, which will be the sector or industry the companies are in. Then all the companies, the target, we have a total addressable market, but then within that we'll have a target account list of companies that we know are a great fit for what we do, usually broken down into 2 or 3 tiers as well. So there'll be sort of the top 10% of businesses within that sector and industry, and then there'll be the next 20 to 30% and then the remainder of the industry. So we'll have tiers of companies that we're targeting, and then within those companies, now we've got our full company list of 300-400 companies. Who are the key people we need to be in front of? So all of that's addressed in the target markets area of the strategy. Then once we've got that in place, we will then move on to looking at how we position ourselves. So how is the business positioned? You know, we're looking at our vision, our mission, the origin story of the business, our culture within the business. How are we positioning ourselves in the marketplace so that good fit buyer we've identified in the second stage of the process identifies with us and says, yep, I can see that you are the perfect fit for what I need to achieve. This is how you do it, and this is why you do it better than anybody else. So again, that positioning in the marketplace and the positioning of us as a business is really key. And a lot of that comes down to your brand, down to your colours, your tagline, as I say, the mission, the vision, the origin story. All of those are elements that we need to explore to make sure we're really clear on our positioning. Once we have that clear positioning in the market, then we can look at the market itself. And when I'm looking at the market, I'm really looking at the competitors within the market. So who are our direct and our indirect competitors? that we need to be aware of, and how do they approach our good fit market? You know, again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel a lot of the time. We can just focus in on what content people are engaging with, why they like it, but also I look at the competitors' websites. I analyze their content that they use and their social media presence. I analyze their offerings and how they use conversion. Are they going to be highly converting websites that they've got, or are there areas there that we can explore? And then I'm looking at opportunities that I don't feel the competitors are exploring enough of that we can maximize as a business. So it may be that they don't use video enough in the competition analysis. We think there's a real place for us to be educational and to share video content like this very much, that we can use, and also develop the YouTube channel for having traffic through from there. So a lot of these areas are done when we analyze the competition. Once we've done the competition and our positioning, then we can start to move on to the actual implementation. So before we get on to implementation, the other thing that will be identified once we've done the first 4 areas, we'll look at the product and the offering. So we'll look at the free products that we offer people, we'll look at the core product offering, we'll look at product for prospects. You know, what offerings have we got for people who are potentially going to be customers? It may be PDF downloads, maybe checklists, maybe video series. There's things that we can offer. They're not a product as in they pay for them. These are free products and products for prospects, which are products that they will happily exchange their name and email address for. So it's used as conversion. Conversion content is what we'd usually call it, to make sure that we convert any visitors to the website. They see content that they want to have and they then become a lead in our database. Okay. We then move from our products for prospects into our core product offering. So this is really what most businesses focus on. They have their core product offering, their core service, the core solution that they offer. So how do we position that in the marketplace? And then how do we develop product for customers as well? So once someone is a customer and they love what we do, it's natural for them to want to know, what else do you do? Yes, they'll probably repeat buy our core product offers, but they're also happy to look at buying other things related to our core offering. So again, this can build the revenue streams out as well. So we'll analyze that in the product part of the what we offer to our audience. So really important part. We then get to the engine room of the strategy, and this is really the marketing and sales sections. So marketing is all about lead generation. So we now know who the good fit buyer is. We now have mapped out our personas. It's how do we attract them? How do we make sure we have a constant stream of warm, good fit people coming through our website, engaging with us on social media, responding to our ads, coming to our events. You know, all of that is our marketing effort. So how do we put in place key elements of our marketing to make sure that our lead pipeline is constantly full? Once those leads are in our CRM, how do we then nurture relationships? How do we engage with them and move them along our sales process? So this is where your sales plan becomes a core element for you to work on. So again, having a step-by-step process, sales process and pipeline that every single lead goes through consistently allows us at each of those steps to have a metric in place measuring how effective we are. And once we've got the sales and marketing machine working, so leads are flowing, and then we've got the customer acquisition and sales process working, so we're turning those leads into revenue, then the next element we look at is our team. So I call it talent acquisition, it's recruitment, it's building up a high quality team to deliver for clients, but also to make sure that everyone around you is of the best they could possibly be. So how do we attract those? And again, it's back to culture. It should be people who want to work for you. If you've got your reputation, if people see you active on social media and the culture and the story of the business, they connect with your missions and visions, then you will attract the right talent to your business. On from talent, we then have our operational delivery. So how do we make our operational delivery remarkable so that every client who comes on board is delighted by what we do? So again, we focus on that in the strategy piece, mapping out how we deliver for clients and making sure that every step of that has a metric again that we're measuring to make sure they're happy. That leads then on to service and support. So once we're delivering for clients and they've come on board, how do we look after them? How do we service and support them? You know, what's our net promoter score? You know, are people happy? Are they happy to recommend us to other people? All of these things come into the mix then in the service and support element of the strategy. And then the final two parts are systems development and metrics and measurement and analytics. So systems development is all about the technology we use. What's our tech stack? What are the connected pieces of software we need to make this whole machine work? You know, how can we then set up dashboards? How can we have the metrics in place to measure that we're on track or off track, to set our goals and see, yes, we're on track for our goal this year, or no, we're not on track. And also, if we are on track, what's working really well? So what's working and what isn't working and what can be improved to work better, again, is all driven by the metrics that we're measuring and the types of system that we're setting up. So all of that is key as we finish off our strategy. So hopefully you can see those 12 elements are all interconnected. They're all about business growth. You know, so the strategic work I do for businesses, it costs around £5,000 for that 3-month period, but it is the best work that I ever do for a client, I always feel. If we get that right, then the implementation and the other work I do with the client works really well, and they grow and achieve and smash really their revenue goals. If we don't get the strategy work done, or they try and skip that step and go straight into execution, then we never have the same impact, we never have the same effect. And a lot of the time it's the sort of clients that I don't want to work with. If they can't take the strategy part seriously and pour themselves into that 3 months work, then it often will not be the relationship I want. So as I say, hopefully that's helped you. You know, if you're going to do the strategy work yourself, those are the 12 areas to focus on. And I highly recommend that you get started with that first before going into tactical execution and implementation. Okay, so hopefully that was useful. If you're on the strategy page now and you're looking at my strategy work, then click the link to find out more below, and we'll have a conversation about it. Look at what your goals are for your business, and I'll give you some ideas on how to develop your own strategy. All right, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.